Welcome to Stamped and Worn, where every passport stamp tells a story, every destination has a history, and every journey leaves a mark. Let's explore another legendary place. Before coffee became the world's favorite morning ritual, before cafes filled city streets from New York to Tokyo, before millions of conversations, business deals, friendships, and first dates began over a warm cup, there was only a quiet mountain. Hidden among the mist-covered highlands of Ethiopia, where ancient forests stretch across rolling hills and clouds drift lazily through towering trees, grows a small red berry that would eventually transform the world. It didn't happen overnight. There were no great armies marching across these mountains, no kings announcing the discovery, no celebrations, no monuments, and no one who could have imagined what was about to happen. History changed here almost by accident. And that may be what makes this story so remarkable. Today, we're traveling to the Ethiopian highlands, the birthplace of coffee, and uncovering how one mountain changed civilization forever. As the first rays of sunlight break across the mountains, the landscape slowly comes alive. Morning mist clings to the valleys like a soft blanket. Birds begin their songs while farmers quietly make their way along narrow dirt paths carved into hillsides generations ago. The air is cool. It carries the scent of damp earth, flowering plants, and wild forests untouched by time. This is Kaffa, a region many historians believe gave coffee its very name. Unlike the massive plantations seen elsewhere around the world, coffee here still grows much as it always has, beneath towering trees, protected by nature itself. Walking these forests feels different. There is a silence here that invites reflection. It's easy to forget that one of the world's most valuable crops began not in laboratories or royal gardens, but in wilderness. Long before espresso machines, before coffee chains, before millions rushed to work carrying paper cups, there were simply trees, berries, and curiosity. Like many of history's greatest discoveries, coffee's beginnings are wrapped in legend. The most famous story belongs to a young goat herder named Kaldi. Whether Kaldi actually existed is impossible to know, but sometimes legends survive because they capture something deeper than facts alone. According to the story, Kaldi noticed something unusual about his goats. Normally calm and predictable, they suddenly became energetic. They ran across the hillsides with surprising excitement. They refused to sleep. They leaped among the rocks as though celebrating something only they understood. Confused, Kaldi watched carefully. Eventually, he realized every excited goat had been eating bright red berries from an unfamiliar shrub growing deep within the forest. Curious himself, Kaldi tasted the berries. Soon, he too felt unusually alert. His exhaustion disappeared, his mind felt sharper. Whether that exact moment happened exactly as history remembers, it may never be proven. But every great discovery begins with someone asking a simple question. What happens if... The berries eventually found their way to a nearby monastery. The monks were skeptical. Some accounts suggest they threw the berries into a fire, believing they were dangerous. As the fruit roasted, something unexpected happened. An extraordinary aroma filled the room. Rich, warm, nutty, almost impossible to ignore. Instead of discarding the roasted beans, they ground them and mixed them with hot water. For the first time, coffee was brewed. The monks soon discovered that the drink helped them remain awake during long nights of prayer and meditation. Hours that once felt exhausting suddenly became easier. Concentration improved, fatigue faded. Without realizing it, they had discovered one of the most influential beverages in human history. Not medicine, not luxury, simply a drink, but one that would eventually reshape economies, cultures, and daily life around the world. Standing here today, it's difficult to imagine how isolated these mountains once were. There were no roads, no airports, no maps that connected distant civilizations. News traveled only as fast as merchants, travelers, and wandering scholars could carry it. Yet ideas have always found ways to travel. Coffee was no exception. Merchants crossing the ancient trade routes through Ethiopia recognized the value of these remarkable beans. Camel caravans slowly carried coffee northward across rugged landscapes toward the Arabian Peninsula. The journey was long. Weeks became months, but little by little, coffee left the mountain that gave it life. It crossed deserts, it crossed seas, It crossed cultures. Every traveller carried not only sacks of beans, but a new experience. Across the Red Sea, coffee found fertile ground in Yemen. Here, something extraordinary happened. Coffee stopped being merely a local curiosity. It became part of everyday life. The port city of Mocha grew into one of the world's most important trading centres. Ships carrying coffee departed for distant lands, introducing people to a drink unlike anything they had ever tasted. The name Mocha would eventually become famous across the world. Even today, millions unknowingly speak the name of this small Yemeni port whenever they order a Mocha coffee. It's another reminder that history often hides in plain sight. As coffee spread throughout the Islamic world, something even more important began to happen. Coffee houses appeared. But these were far more than places to drink. They became gathering places. Scholars debated philosophy. Merchants negotiated trade. Poets shared new ideas. Musicians performed. Religious leaders exchanged perspectives. Travellers brought stories from distant lands. In many ways, these coffee houses became the world's earliest public forums. Long before social media, before newspapers reached every home, before radio or television, ideas spread from table to table, cup to cup, conversation to conversation. A simple drink had become fuel not just for the body, but for civilization itself. And yet, through all of this, the mountain remained. The forests still whispered in the wind. The coffee trees continued producing their bright red cherries. Farmers harvested them by hand, just as their ancestors had done for centuries, completely unaware that the world beyond the horizon was beginning to change because of something growing quietly in their own backyard. Sometimes, history doesn't announce itself. Sometimes, it grows silently, waiting for the rest of humanity to catch up. By the late 15th century, coffee had become more than a local drink. It had become a prized commodity. Merchants protected it fiercely, knowing its value extended far beyond its remarkable flavour. The rulers of Yemen guarded coffee plants with extraordinary care. For years, they exported only roasted or boiled beans, beans that could never grow into new trees. They hoped to keep the secret of coffee confined to their lands, preserving a monopoly that made the region wealthy. But history has a way of escaping borders. Travellers are naturally curious. Explorers rarely return home empty-handed, and merchants are always searching for the next great opportunity. Eventually, fertile coffee seeds made their way beyond Arabia. What began as one mountain's hidden treasure was about to become the world's obsession. By the early 1600s, coffee had reached Europe. At first, many people didn't know what to think. Some religious leaders viewed the dark beverage with suspicion. They called it strange, exotic, even dangerous. According to one famous story, the drink was brought before Pope Clement VIII. Rather than condemning it, he tasted it himself. Finding it surprisingly enjoyable, he reportedly gave it his blessing. Whether every detail of the story is true remains uncertain, but its symbolism is powerful. Coffee was no longer a curiosity from distant lands. It had become part of Europe. Soon, coffee houses began appearing across Venice, London, Paris, Amsterdam, and Vienna. Unlike taverns, where alcohol often clouded judgment, coffee houses encouraged conversation, clear thinking, and debate. People gathered not to escape the world, but to understand it. Walk into a London coffee house in the late 17th century, and you wouldn't simply find people drinking coffee. You would find writers discussing literature, scientists arguing over new discoveries, merchants planning global trade, politicians debating the future of nations, inventors sharing impossible ideas. Every table seemed to hold another conversation capable of changing history. These establishments became known as penny universities. For the price of a single cup of coffee, anyone could sit among scholars, businessmen, philosophers, and explorers. Knowledge was no longer reserved only for the wealthy. Ideas became accessible, and history accelerated. The Age of Enlightenment wasn't driven by coffee alone, but coffee houses gave those revolutionary ideas a place to grow. Thinkers questioned old traditions. Scientists challenged accepted beliefs. Philosophers imagined new forms of government. Inventors dreamed of technologies that hadn't yet been built. Conversations stretched late into the evening, fueled not by wine, but by wakefulness. Coffee helped create an environment where curiosity thrived. It's impossible to measure exactly how many discoveries began over a steaming cup. But it's difficult to imagine the Enlightenment without those bustling coffee houses. Sometimes great revolutions don't begin on battlefields. Sometimes they begin around a wooden table. As European empires expanded across the globe, coffee traveled with them. The Dutch introduced coffee cultivation to Indonesia. The French carried coffee to the Caribbean. The Portuguese established vast plantations in Brazil. One seed, planted on a distant mountain, had now circled the globe. Brazil, in particular, transformed coffee into an agricultural giant. By the 19th century, the country had become the world's largest coffee producer, a title it still holds today. Coffee shaped railroads, it influenced immigration, it fueled economic growth. Entire cities rose because of coffee. Millions of lives became connected through a crop that had once grown quietly beneath the forests of Ethiopia. Then came the Industrial Revolution. Factories roared to life. Steam engines transformed transportation. Cities expanded at astonishing speed. Workers faced longer hours than ever before. Coffee became more than a pleasure. It became part of daily survival. A cup before dawn, another during work, another before the journey home. The rhythm of modern life increasingly moved to the rhythm of coffee. Even today, millions begin their mornings in exactly the same way. Not because someone tells them to, because it has become part of the human routine. A ritual shared across continents, languages and cultures. Today, coffee is one of the most traded agricultural products on Earth. More than 2 billion cups are consumed every single day. Think about that for a moment. Every sunrise, from bustling cafés in Paris to quiet kitchens in rural Colombia, from business towers in New York to seaside villages in Australia, billions of people unknowingly participate in a tradition that began high in the forests of Ethiopia. Few products have connected humanity in quite the same way. Coffee crosses religion, it crosses politics, it crosses language, it crosses borders. It has become one of the world's most universal experiences. Yet perhaps the greatest lesson isn't about coffee itself. It's about how history often unfolds. We tend to imagine that history changes because of emperors, presidents, or famous generals. But sometimes history changes because an observant shepherd noticed his goats behaving differently. Because curious monks experimented with unfamiliar berries. Because merchants believed strangers might enjoy a new drink. Because people sat together and shared ideas. History isn't always loud. Sometimes it's surprisingly quiet. As our journey comes full circle, we return once again to Ethiopia. The morning mist still rolls gently across these mountains. The forests remain alive with birdsong. Farmers continue harvesting coffee cherries by hand, just as generations before them have done. There are no grand monuments declaring this the birthplace of a global ritual. The mountain asks for no recognition. It simply continues growing what it has always grown. And perhaps that is what makes this place so extraordinary. The world changed here, not through conquest, not through wealth, not through violence, but through curiosity. The next time you lift a cup of coffee to your lips, pause for just a moment. Think about the remarkable journey it has taken. From a misty Ethiopian mountain, across deserts and oceans, through ancient ports, into bustling coffee houses, across revolutions, through scientific discoveries, into homes, offices, cafes, and conversations around the world. Every cup carries a story. Every sip connects us to centuries of exploration, trade, innovation, and shared humanity. One mountain, one berry, one discovery, and a world forever changed because someone somewhere chose to ask, "What happens if I try this?" Thank you for joining us on another journey with Stamped and Worn, where every passport stamp tells a story, every destination has a history, and every journey leaves a mark. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe and join us as we uncover more remarkable places that quietly shaped the world we live in today.